I had to pause. Listen, we live in the Midwest. You like my glasses this morning? Don't you think I look like a sexy librarian? Yeah, I'm kind of vibing that image today. I'm kind of vibing that. Hey, Bing Crosby, how are you? Nice to see you. So it's the Midwest, and I misspoke. So typically, around the middle of August is when it starts getting cool in Michigan. Dudes and dudettes, I stepped out the door this morning and I was like, okay, maybe I just stepped outside from my air conditioned home. So maybe that's why I feel cool. No, it's chilly. It was 68 degrees. Yesterday, it was 88. And that chill that we feel in the air, truly blessed. Thank you, sir. Nice to see you. And that chat we see in the air, you know what that is? We know what it is. Fall. Too early. It's just July 31st. Can I get a few more days? Right? I just want a few more days. Good morning. Who is this? Bob Swan 1, Bad Mike 2004. How bad are you, Bad Mike? Yeah. Like the names you guys have are just incredible. Bad. This is Namke Kalbi. Are you like related to Cardi B or something? Did you all see that, by the way? Cardi B had a show in Indiana that she canceled, claiming it was a security threat. And LL Cool joined. Hey, right? And it's like, girl, what's your problem? Hi, Peter Conquy. And this is Kissing the Pink. You kiss the pink. Okay, what's the pink? Because I'm wearing a pink this morning. And today's Wednesday, and my daughter started this Lucky Sin 87. Wait just a minute. This is getting interesting. Lucky Sin 87. All right, I think I've just about quit and given up. Wait, what All-Star One? The most interesting names. Can I just ask you where you come up with these names? Like, where's the creativity from these for these names? You guys rock. Maybe I should ask you to create an avatar for me and a name for me. What would that be like? Right? So I stepped out the door this morning and it was chilly and I didn't have anything on because typically you step out the door in the mornings and it's like really warm. Not this morning. So this is us. So this is me now in my Midwestern mode, right? So I had on a skirt. So I was like, maybe it's time to go back home and put on leggings. I was like, no, we're not going to do it. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to rock the skirt and heels all day long. Everybody loves Chris. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Right? So it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So I'm like, I'm not ready to retire summer yet. Oh, no, I'm not. Typically for me, I rock summer wear most of the year, typically. So they tell me that I don't dress warmly enough for living in the Midwest. Reb 1762, welcome. So they tell me it's because I'm not, so I don't know how to. So, in the Midwest, when it gets cold, people wear turtlenecks and stuff. Not me. I wear tank tops and sweaters all year long. So I go from the building to the car without a coat, right? And then I get in the car and I'm like, the heat is on in the car and you have heated seats. Why do you need a coat? Then I run out of and then like around January, I start getting, headaches because it's really cold. Then I have to put on a hat because, your body heat escapes through your head. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay. Right. And then I just wear tank tops and sweaters all winter long. I do wear boots because I like my feet warm, and I will wear leggings, right? And tank tops and sweaters all winter long. All winter long. If I'm going out, I carry my heels and switch it out, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You can take the tropic, you take the girl out of the tropics, but you can't take the tropics out of the girl because I'm still like a summer child, still perpetually dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. And by the way, talking about sandy beaches, here in Michigan, don't go to the beach. People are getting bacterial infections. There's a lot of stuff in the water. We don't know what it is, but if you've read recent reports, don't go to the beach. Okay? Right? Right. Incredible. Just incredible. So I was talking about Cardi B canceling her concert. You know, I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan of Cardi B until she insulted the legacy of Martin Luther King. And I just thought that was gross disrespect. I don't care. I don't believe you should tear down somebody else's heroes just because you don't understand their journey. You see what I mean? So don't think I'm going to tear down Mao Zedong, the Chinese hero, because I am not Chinese. I don't do stuff like that. I respect the journey and I respect what others have contributed to the pages of history. So when she did a video or some foolishness on Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, I thought that was grossly irreverent of her more than anything else. I thought she lacked an understanding of history and someone's place in history, and understanding the impact that the very freedoms she enjoys today as a person who is multi-ethnic comes from somebody walking and putting up with guns and dogs, and then you're destroying it because you want to make a fast buck. So I've not been a fan of her since then. And then she picked a fight with somebody else, with another star, and she's now going to be charged. I'm like, get it together. You're not in the hood anymore. Yeah? Get out of the hood, right? You've made it. You've crossed over. Show some deference now and some that you're growing up, right? It's okay to be authentically the artist. And that's what I think a lot of them lack. They lack an understanding of their artistry. The artist is separate from the person. So it's okay to sing it in a song, to be authentically the artist. That's the song, that's the words, the lyrics, the creativity of it. But the person, you don't go off in a club and stand up. I keep telling people don't understand this stuff. I have been challenged just like everybody else, where people push you to the brink, right? But you have to remember who you are and what you are and how you damage your own brand and damage yourself by acting out. I kid you not, people do this all day, every day. But I can't act out all day, every day. I have to keep it. You see what I'm saying? And keep it together. These young folks, they don't understand journey and they don't understand sacrifice. They don't understand that someone else paid the price for you to be here. We're all standing on someone's shoulders, white, black, and in between. We didn't just come here. Somebody had to pay the price for us to be here, right? And we somehow need to respect that and remember that, right? So I want to talk about infertility today, and this is a much better angle, and talk about infertility as it relates to that's a much better one. Are you seeing me still? Yeah. Infertility as it relates to sex. We're talking about sex and issues all week long. And we're talking about infertility. And why are there so many people so many couples trying to have children who are infertile? And I really want to hear your comments, everybody. I want to hear what you have to say. It's not just me. This is an interactive session. Somebody on my YouTube page pointed that out the other day. She thought that I was a bot or a doll or something. She didn't realize that I was a real person. Do with that what you will. And so, so when she messaged me and I answered, she said, "Oh, you're real." And I'm like, all day I just pinched myself and found that I was actually real. Anyway, people kill me, right? People kill me. If I'm a little down today, I didn't sleep much last night and I'm still sleepy. And it doesn't help this heck of a commute, right? Where they drive like crazy on I-696 between 94 and Woodward. For the love of God, do something. People are so crazy. I mean, after Woodward, it gets better. I think they're driving better because the lanes narrow down to 3 lanes. I don't know. For the life of me, we live in Michigan, Motor City, right? So as far as I'm concerned, all of Southeast Michigan is Metro Detroit. That's how I look at it, right? And I don't understand why when they built these freeways, they never saw progress. Literally, the freeways are smack between neighborhoods. Like if you were driving between Telegraph on 696 east or westbound, right? And between Telegraph and I-75, dudes, trust me, it's a 4-lane freeway because there are neighborhoods on either side of the freeway. Can you help me to understand how they built this place 60 years ago and didn't see that there would come a time when more people would live and more people would be driving cars? I don't understand that. So now these neighborhoods are established, right? So they're not going to give up their homes for the sake of progress. That's going to take about 20 years or something before people start thinking like that and, you know, start moving further north. They're moving further north now, like in every other city in the country. But do you see what I'm saying? I don't get that. I mean, I go to Atlanta and this 8-lane freeway is one way, and I'm looking at Michigan like, dudes, you got the land. Why are we on these little freeways? And talk about 696 westbound going to Lansing in the evenings when it becomes I-96 and it becomes all 4 lanes become 2 lanes. Help me. Please help me. It's the most frustrating thing you've ever experienced. Yesterday, I was supposed to go to Lansing, and I had a commitment that I had to do. It wouldn't end until 4 o'clock. And I needed to be there by 4, you know, within a short space of time. So, under normal circumstances, I probably could leave here at 4:15 and still get there by 5:30. And still make time to get to, even if I'd gotten there at 6 o'clock, at least I would have shown my face in the place. But it's irreverent to think about it. I would never even leave Novi. I wouldn't even leave Novi. I'd still be sitting in Novi up to now. They got to do something about these freeways, man. Either they're going to build overpasses. I don't know what they're going to do, but they've got to build them. So if you get to a bottleneck, you go up to get over and join it, go up to get over and join it. It's impossible in Michigan. It's time out to just stop sitting. And then our governor is a Democratic governor. And all of a sudden she came up with this idea that to fix the roads in Michigan, we have the worst roads. To fix the roads in Michigan would require, guess what? A gas tax. At that point, I think everybody was just like, girl, go sit down. Like, really? 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 A gas tax that would set gas prices up for, like, girl, please. There are so many other ways you could have done this. You could have issued a bond like other states did. I'm just saying, you could have put up a toll road like other states do. I am just saying, but heck, I'm not the governor. You are. And it's the people around you came up with a gas tax. So even people within the party, the Democratic Party, are like, well, that's a 1 term. Yeah, so go ahead. And she's popular. She's nice. I met her. She's a sweetheart. 1 term, because you came up with a gas tax to fix the roads that are so bad. I'm like, please spare me. This is why I don't talk about politics, because it's so ridiculous. Like the Democratic debate last night. Did you all watch it? I didn't. For what? What are they going to do? Tell me. They want your vote. And what happens? What happens after you vote? Is your community better? Right? The president called some parts of Baltimore rodent infested and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was wrong for saying that. But the truth. Tell me the truth. Why should that exist in your district? And you're sitting up in Congress every day. Why aren't you getting federal money? Why is the federal money that's coming from the federal government not fixing the roads and fixing the stuff in the district? So maybe he's wrong. It's for saying that because people live there, because that's referencing people and putting people within that context. But is he really wrong? Is it not true? When I thought about it, I was like, y'all need to sit down. But you want votes and you're campaigning for votes and stuff is wrong. I was invited to a thing Monday evening, right, where they were going to talk about, listen to this, the state of children in Michigan. So I looked at the speakers and you saw the look on my face, like, really? I'm like, I'm not going. So my girlfriend called me and she's like, aren't you coming? And I'm like, there's a girl there from the Breakfast Club. I said, what does she know about the state of children in Michigan? I said, I was listening a few weeks ago. I was scanning my radio. I kid you not. I was scanning in my car looking for a radio station to listen to. And I heard her talk about how she gives her vaginas to men. She gives her vagina to men. And I'm like, and she's going to be headlining a conversation about the state of children in Michigan? And a few weeks before that, she was on her radio show talking about she gives her vagina to men on a national audience. Hello? And my 17-year-old was in the car. I'm like, what's the messaging here? I said, what are they going to talk about? Are they going to do anything to help? We have one of the highest homeless rates in the state of Michigan among foster care youth. Youths who are in that gap year leaving foster care, we have one of the highest homeless rates. You know what sets those kids up for? What? Guess what? Trafficking. And these people are going to sit there and pontificate and postulate and look for a photo opportunity to say they're taking photos with prominent members of the community. And they look like I'm like, no, you're not seeing my face in the place. Nope. Nope. I was like, I have better things to do. You know what I was doing Monday evening? Laundry. I was knee deep in my laundry, sitting on my couch, watching TV, right? And listening to them carry on with their foolishness. I was just so done. Yesterday, I made a really good dinner for me and my children. We ate dinner with some crab cakes and some, I make homemade Alfredo sauce, right? So my Alfredo sauce is homemade. So my kids begged me to make it. I don't usually cook so heavily in the summer. And I just sat down and ate. And then afterwards, I went to bed. And there captured my evening. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate your support. So I want to talk about sex and issues and talk about infertility. And I really need your feedback. I want you guys to help us to understand my generation didn't suffer from infertility as much. So say people 45 and over, as much as younger people are suffering from infertility, and why so many couples are struggling to have their first child. My daughter pointed out something to me the other day that I thought was mind-blowing, and I thought it caught my attention. She said, it seems to me, this is her, I'm quoting her, my 17-year-old. She says, it seems to me that the people who can afford to have children and who have the resources to take care of children are the people who are not having children. But the people who can't afford to have children and who misuse and abuse their children are the ones who seem to have children. And she's like, somewhere there's a disconnect, Mom. Somewhere something is wrong. And I said, that's an interesting conversation that we perhaps need to look at. But I want to look at it from the context of infertility. Why are so many folks being infertile? Are you guys not having enough sex? Is it a lack of sex? Is it a lack of spontaneous sex? Or is something wrong with our theology? Are we looking at sex then, certainly from just a procreational standpoint, which takes the fun out of it? Or what? So there is a book I read some years ago, and it says, it's the topic of it, the title of it is Promises I Can't Keep. And it was written by a Harvard professor who did a study, ironically, I can't believe I'm going to say this, in Baltimore. Right? And in that study, what she found out was that people of a certain socioeconomic class have a different mindset when it comes to having children. So I'm just going to throw this out there, and you're going to tell me if you think it is or it's not, or it's food for thought, certainly. But people from a specific social, that's where she did the study. She sent her in to live in the hood amongst the people for a specific period of time. So she chose a multi-generational, multi-ethnic neighborhood. So there were Hispanics and there were Blacks. And what she found was this. One of the things she found was that amongst young people, amongst that particular sector of the population, people who were primarily marginalized or poor, she found that they had a different thinking on children, on having children, that having children early showed your fertility. And having children early was a sign of accomplishment. Whereas for the rest of us, having an education is a sign of accomplishment and is a sign of planning for the future. For them, children was their future. So having children demonstrated that you were capable of having children because that is what you are supposed to do. In other words, your whole life, a woman's life was just placed around that. Here's something else she found out. You ready for this part? What else she found out was this. This was true of whether you were Hispanic or Black and you were marginalized or poor. The other thing she found out was this, that amongst that same group of people, right? The father, listen to this, the father stayed with the newborn child a maximum of 2 years. 2 years was the extended point. Typically stayed within a year or 18 months. So she's pregnant, and the whole area, the whole family celebrates her being pregnant. The whole family's happy that she's pregnant and she's doing something. In fact, some of the comments from the old, well, I started when I was 13, so you're 15. What are you doing? People were actually saying that to their kids, and the rest of us are looking like, right? And that amongst this, I kid you not, Promises I Can't Keep. Go download that book. It's on Amazon. I kid you not. I was reading it jaw-dropping, because people were actually telling their kids at 15, 16 that it's okay for them to have children and that it was a sign of their fertility and accomplishment. Whereas for the rest of us, 15, 16, 17, you're trying to finish high school to get into college. At 18, some of these folks already had 2 children. By the time they were 21, they had 3. And that pushing a stroller, get this. Have you ever wondered why when you go to the mall, you see young girls, a bunch of them pushing strollers? Do you know that for them, it's a sign of accomplishment? Did you know that amongst a certain population, that pushing a stroller at the mall is a sign of accomplishment for them? And what she found, this researcher, this Harvard professor, what she found was that there was nothing the society could do that could change the messaging to those young people. There was nothing we could do to teach, to role play, to symbolize it. Nothing, because that messaging was coming from within their own family group. And as long as their family and the female members, the matriarchy of their clan, perpetuated that message, there was nothing. A young girl was under pressure to start having sex and to get pregnant by the time she's 15. The first pregnancy should occur. Go read the book, Promises I Can't Keep. I kid you not. And I know many of you who are parents and who are uncles and aunties, you're shaking your head. And now they say that the teenage pregnancy rate in America is dropping slowly. Maybe because the messaging has turned around and now they've had generations of poverty. So now looking back, because this study took place in the 90s. So now it's 25 years later. So you're looking at generations of poverty caused by teenage pregnancy. Is it any wonder that some people emerging from those settings who go to college never get pregnant at all? Are like, I'll never have kids, because they were intimate with the struggle, right? The rest of us delayed having children to wait until we're married. I was married for 3 years before I got pregnant. I refused. I would never. I was settled in my career choice, right? I had some college. Yeah, I'm a college dropout. So knock me over, right? Published 3 books, though. I've been on stages most people would dream of. But hey, it is what it is. I don't recommend it. That was my own unique journey. So I don't recommend it for anybody else. I advocate for people to go to college. I want everyone, if you can, to go to college. I think it's good for you because it gives you options. And I also think not only does it give you options, but it does something on the inside of you. When life turns later on in midlife, you don't want to have to face the fact that you never did college. That's why you're working a dead-end job in McDonald's. That will seriously affect the way you think about yourself and could affect your health. So going to college is good for you all around, right? But it wasn't part of my own intimate journey. It wasn't part of my journey. And I had to learn to live with that. So by the time I was 26, still young by today's standard, that's very young. I was married and settled. I'd been married for 3 years. And from all indications, I had married well. So there was no chance that I had to go, you know what I mean? They needed to. No, I was married and settled, right? Nowadays, people just, hey, I'm pregnant and it's done. But what about the people who are really seeking to get pregnant and can't? What's happening in those settings? Well, there are a number of factors that are happening there, some of which are serious sterility and infertility issues caused by lifestyle over a period of time, right? Lifestyle. People who I have found that drinking and drugs, people seriously abuse drugs. And especially here in America, hi, Raven Bishop, right? People here in America, hi. Oh, you could only go to a trade school, not college. Well, it's not, it happens. I get that, sweetheart. I get that. I get that. It's okay. I get that. Don't cry about it. If you can, go back to college. If not, do something with your trade school education, right? Like I said, my own journey was different. I was very blessed. I worked in some in some good environments because I was smart. And at that time, being smart was a thing. You know, being smart was a thing, and you could get to where you needed to be without the benefit, without a college degree. It was an added accessory, but it wasn't a requirement at that time, right? Though I made it, but that by the grace of God, it was different for us. Nowadays, I tell everybody, go get a degree. And if you're serious about what you want to do and getting an advanced degree, whether it's in law or physics or mathematics or engineering or medicine, if that is what you feel you should do, do it. Some people are saying you shouldn't get an advanced degree because everybody has an MBA now? Is it really helping? You're saddled with a lot of debt. Did it really push you over the edge? It just gave you more debt, right? Did you earn more significantly to match the degree, or how much it cost you for the degree? I don't think so, not anymore. They're kind of leveling it off. Wages and salaries have stagnated for the last 35 to 40 years. So you went and took out more debt. I know somebody who went and took out more debt, took out an additional, what did he say? It cost him almost $90,000 to get his advanced degree, right? And he didn't earn $90,000 more. He went from $57,000 a year to $60,000 a year, but he still has to pay back the $90,000 debt. And he thought it would have put him over the edge into senior management, and it didn't. There's still factors to play there, but certainly get some kind of degree. It's learning that is the key, and how you present yourself, right? So make sure, because on a resume, they're going to look you up. And in today's world, God help us all, they have Google, right? So they can find out stuff about you. So if getting a degree is going to push your resume over the edge, then do it, right? But what I'm saying is, I'm talking about infertility. What is causing this much infertility? I'm finding that a group of us, a generation of us, started abusing drugs too early. So you started having drugs taking drugs from your 12, 13, 14, 15. That's going to have a serious impact on your health all around. And it certainly is going to impact your sexuality as you grow older. So you arrive at 30, you get married, and you want to start getting pregnant, and you find that you can't. So they say something is wrong with your ability to be fertile. You're not producing enough eggs, or you're not making enough eggs to go meet the sperm. And then his little swimmers are not powerful enough. So those are some of the issues. Then we have all these gadgets now that tell you when a woman is fertile, when you're ovulating and when it's fertile. And people will just say, well, it's the right time. Let's just go jump and have sex. You can also go in vitro fertilization, where they insert it inside of you. Okay, if it works for you. I feel for people who took on college debt. Yeah, right? Trade school, let's talk about, I'll talk about trade school another day, but trade school is important because here in Oakland County, there's a program here for aging factory workers who are highly skilled, but who young people are not going into those fields because our economy changed, our culture changed, and the way we view work changed. So people don't want work that seems like they just go to a factory and sit there all day making tools or whatever. They want something that they think is glamorous. So everybody wants to be an Instagram influencer. I kid you not, that's really where it's going. Everybody thinks they can go play a ball or drop a mixtape, or they can be a model, or they can just endorse products on Instagram. And here they are, they're rich and they're famous. That's not sustainable, right? Some people believe they're dancers. I know one young person who dances, and I sent somebody to go talk to him because I don't think that that's sustainable, because you get older, it's not attractive anymore. And then you don't want to do it. Your joints start going out, right? And then you have to find something else to sustain you. But it's the culture that we live in today. So I'll talk about that some other time. But be that as it may, we have a serious problem with people not procreating enough. Part of what is driving legislation, abortion legislation, is a feeling amongst older white folks that their children and grandchildren are not spending as much time making children like they did. And they're right, because young women don't want to be saddled with children as soon as they grow up. They want to go to college and they want to spend some time exploring their options and exploring themselves. And forget about men. Young men don't want to do that either. They don't want to start a family at 23 and 24. And then you wake up at 30 and you're like, what did I do with my life? No, they want to spend some time with themselves. So by the time they turn 28, 29, and your hormones start saying it's time, it's time, it's time, that's when they're ready. You see where I'm coming from? And when they're finally ready, they can't conceive. I know one couple who is fighting right now. They're both young. They're both under 30. And they can't conceive. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, why can't you conceive? Well, I look at when she was in college, she drinks. I'm like, seriously, girl, put the drink down. Put the drugs down. The abuse of drugs, whether those drugs are prescription meds or whether they're recreational drugs, the use of marijuana, the use of heroin, the use of cocaine and other substances, guys and gals, that stuff impacts your health in a negative way, no matter who you are. You can't continue to take chemicals into your body without it having some sort of impact on your body, on our bodies. I take painkillers. That's as much drugs as I take, right? If I take painkillers for headaches, I take painkillers for cramps. I don't even like that. You know why? Because I keep thinking what it's doing to my liver, because ibuprofen hurts your liver, right? I don't smoke and I don't drink because I've always thought that something was, first of all, I'm a girl. And to me, smoking made you smell a smoke. And I thought, ew, I don't want to smell a smoke. I'm too cool for that. I thought I was too pretty and too cool for that. I kid you not. That was my primary motivation. Now, I had a friend who, she looked cool every time she did this. But for me, it just didn't work. So one day while she was doing this, I tried it. And I nearly lost my whole lung. I thought my lungs came up through my mouth. I was 21. I never, ever touched it. Again, one time. I said, what the heck is that? It tasted like they were cutting off my air supply, my oxygen supply with some bitter tasting stuff. And yet my grandfather was a tobacco farmer. I grew up around that. Right? So smoking is bad for us. So all these chemicals, these are the things that are contributing to infertility. The drinking, the smoking, the substances. And what's the granddaddy of them all? You know it. What? Stress. S-T-R-E-S-S. We're so stressed out. We're not getting enough rest, enough sleep. We're not eating right because everything is convenient and on the go. So you have a commute to go to work. Do you think you really have time to get up and fix eggs in the morning and a nutritive breakfast? No. You're going to grab the to-go stuff from the grocery, the freezer aisle in the grocer and count it out and put it in the fridge, put it in the microwave and zing, grab it on the way out the door to get in your car because your commute is so long. Because you have to get to work. Stress, worried about bills, worried about how you're going to pay the bills. And you have student loan debt added to your mortgage. The typical student loan payment is $300 and something a month, in addition to your mortgage, in addition to your car note, in addition to groceries, in addition to insurance, in addition to putting money away, in addition. Do you see what I mean? Stress. So a lot of people can't get pregnant because you're stressed. and you're constantly stressed. So you're not producing the right things to make it happen. So how are you going to change it? Well, it's a lifestyle change. You really want to get pregnant? You might have to cut out some of those things that you're doing. You might want to not go to Starbucks every morning and see how much you could save. I guarantee you not buying coffee every morning is going to save you $150 a month. I can start right there, right? You might want to reduce some of your subscriptions. For instance, get rid of cable and just have streaming services. Download a news app on your phone so you get the news right here and keep CNN. That's what I do, right? So it reduced my cable bill from $250 to $100 a month. I kid you not. Had basic cable and my bill was $253 a month. I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. Cut it off. I now have what they call community cable or something where I just get like 99 channels. And I don't watch it anyway. I watch CBS in the mornings. I have an antenna, you know, one of those electronic antennas that you can plug in the back of it. My mother gave it to me, and she said if the cable ever goes out, or like, you know, there's some kind of incident and the cable goes out, she's like, at least you'll always have access to the local channels to see what they're saying to do. That was how her generation thought about it. I was like, okay. And so what happens is I have less stress. I eat out when I can because I like going out to eat. And frankly, I don't even like the experience anymore because people are weird. I don't know if they're going to shoot the place up. People are not clean, whatever. Too many people. So I will order and take it back home and sit down in the comfort of my home and enjoy it, right? And stream service, right? So reduce stress. Have more spontaneous sex. How about that? So if you're there are a couple of things that you need to do if you're trying to conceive. Have more spontaneous sex. Yes, I'm telling you, throw the ovulator out the window. Know your own cycle. But ladies, take 6 months of building your bodies back up, both of you. Eat right. Eat more protein-intensive foods. Eat more protein-intensive foods. Get rid of the stress and start enjoying each other more. And go to bed not with a view to getting pregnant, but go to bed with a view to what? Just enjoying sex. And a lot of the products that men are taking today, you know, some men take insulin so that their sperm count is decreased. You know that, right? Right? You do know that. And some of the products they take to give them an erection also reduces the sperm count. Did I just say that? Oh, did I just let the pussy out the bag? Yeah. So think about it. It seems like we need to go back to natural stuff. And if you wonder why certain ethnicities seem to procreate, to procreate quicker, it's generational. It's in the DNA. Because they've had, especially people who come from other lands, they've had generations of eating a different food pattern, following a different pattern of life. We over here in the meantime, all stressed for 40, 50 years. Jesus. Any wonder we look forward towards retirement? Just thinking about the commutes is enough to make me say, man, my daughter goes to college next year. I can't wait to not have to get up and do that. See what I'm saying? Right? So those are the things that we have to avoid. We have to change the way that we think and change the way we treat our bodies and change the foods that we eat. Infertility is a big deal. And I can't tell you whether my own personal beliefs are different. Why some people who can afford to have children are not having children. I think those folks spent a lot of their time getting themselves ready financially. You see what I mean? They made sure they had solid careers. They made sure they were in a good place in their careers, right? And they were doing exactly what they wanted to do so that by the time they come along, when children come along, if you go to work and they tell you that, you know, your child is sick and you can't come to work, then they fire you. You're like, okay, to hell with you. I'll just go home and babysit my kid for the next 2 years till he goes to preschool. Because this happens to a lot of working women. You get pregnant to have children, And then the child is sick and they don't want you to take time off to go take care of your child. And then you leave work and you go home and then you come back and the workplace has changed. They don't want you anymore, right? They think you're all in mommy land and your brains are cried up. Like, who raised you? Animals? Like, I want to ask the question when I see stuff like that. I'm like, who raised you? Animals. Did animals raise you, or was it a human being who had to take time out of their life to raise you, right? We have to change the way in other societies, in certain parts of Europe, for instance, they have a whole different way they look at family life. Here in America, we treat family as if it's disposable. In some other parts in Europe, fathers get paid leave. Oh my God, can you imagine? So mom can take 3 weeks of paid leave off after the baby, and daddy can get 3 weeks off paid. What if that happened here? Oh my God. Wouldn't that reduce stress on people? So people are delaying having children because what? They're like, I can't afford it. Childcare expenses are through the roof. So you continue taking birth control, which dries up your estrogen and dries up your baby making eggs. By the time you're ready to make eggs, it's going to take you a while because they have been dried up since you started taking birth control from you were 15. Hello. Hello, somebody. Let me see what somebody's saying. Like I said in one of your other videos, that I eat as best as I can afford. Of course, darling. Of course. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? But do you agree with me? You see what I'm saying? It's the craziest thing ever. Right? So people are delaying having children because I can't afford it. Who can afford childcare? Do you know what the average childcare cost is? And people who are graduating college are like, so out of my little paycheck, how much am I going to take home? Nothing. So they delay having children until you get to 30, 35, and it becomes a problem. So now you have to get fertility treatments where they give you shots to increase your fertility, increase your sperm, right? Build your sperm power up and increase the rate at which a woman makes eggs. I am just saying, start with nutrition. You don't have to have children in your 20s. Our health system now can sustain you after 30, 40, 50. My doctor tells me one of her 54-year-old patients got pregnant. They treated it like, no, she had a normal baby. Like, okay, drop a baby, bomb. Big deal. It depends on who you are. One of the things you need to do is to take the stress off. Maybe if employers were giving more leave to people, then people wouldn't have to worry so much about what do they do with the child after it's born. Childcare. We also don't live near centers where our parents live. Because we left to go to college, then we went to get a job where the jobs are. The jobs are not where we grew up. The jobs are not where our parents live. So you are struggling raising a child alone. It puts pressure on a marriage. You can't go out to date. You can't do anything because you're always saddled with having the children all the time. So people start delaying when they will have children, which impacts your fertility, right? That's a contributing factor. Then, of course, there are genetics. You have to look at your own genetics. How did people in your group procreate? How did they start having children? You have to look at genetics. Genetics is important because genetics foretells what is going to happen to you based on what you're made up of. We can't really change our genetic code, can we? Not really, no. Unless you're going to take this one out and put in another one and start anew. But you can't really change it. So your genetics do impact your fertility. I can talk about you, so I'm going to talk about me. In my family, for instance, women have children when they're older, like it's nothing. It's not like, whoa, such an anomaly. It just happens, right? So that's part of my genetic code, right? People tend to have children, and we tend to have children when we're younger because that's when our bodies are most geared for it. 100 years ago, people were getting married when they were 15. So they were starting to have children earlier because they didn't have the pressures that we have today. It was a different society, right? Now the society has changed. Now we have to work. 50, 60 years ago, women stayed home, which meant they were less stressed, which meant that they could have sex that made children faster and quicker because they didn't have to get up and go worry about going to work, put up with a boss who is a dog and who is horrible. I kid you not, some of these people who are bosses have a trip. They need some therapy, right? And the stress of constantly being on the move impacts your ability to procreate, right? So let's talk about that. One other thing to think about: you want the government to stay out of our lives as much as possible. Good luck with that. I don't think the government thinks that way. I think the government views us as instruments that it has to control. And the government seeks ingenious ways to control us. The government wants to influence the way we think and the way we act. So I don't think the government wants to stay out of our lives. The government is in our lives because they want to know how we think, why we think, and control that so that they have control over us. You see what I'm saying? It's not, I don't like it any more than you do, but it kind of is what it is. Think about it. We live in a big country and we're not a military country. Like the military is not walking up and down the streets or on the freeways. We're free to go to work, free to do whatever. You don't wake up in the morning and the government is using a bullhorn saying, all of you wake up at 5 a.m. and you got to be in they don't do that. So they have to find other ways of maintaining order and peace. It's just the way I see it happening. So is it going to come a time when they tell us how many children to have? I don't think they need to do that because there are some people who are still having more children. The problem is the group who wants to have more children, they're the ones with the most privilege and the most money. And they're the ones who are saying, I don't really want to spend most of my time having children. Yet they have the most resources because they want to feel free. Let's face it, having a child is 18 years. That first 18 years, you have no election over that. You have no choice over that. For the first 18 years of a child's life, you are required to be there 24/7. You have to be there. You might go on vacation, but you're still 24/7. After they go to college, you're paying for the college. You're helping them pay for college. You're helping to pay for college, right? So you're paying for college. That first 4 years, they're not paying for it. You are. You help to pay for graduate school, right? And you help to pay for the down payment on the car. You help to pay for the down payment on the house. Having children is fun, isn't it? The upside is you get some wonderful human beings who love you forever. Sometimes they do love you. And they will love you when they grow up and realize what it took to raise them. That's when they're like, Mom and Dad, I love you forever. That's when, like me, they put me in a cage. Like, where are you going today? Who are you interacting with today? Let me see what you're going to do. And I'm like, excuse me, I thought I was the parent here. And they're like, your time is running out, lady. That's what my 17-year-old told me. She said, you have a few more good years. And then we cut it off and we're in control. We take the keys to the car, the keys to the house, and we're in control. We have your bank account. We got everything because we're not going to trust you to make decisions after that. And we don't want anybody to take advantage of you. So we'll just be in control. And this is me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to France. I'm going to France. And they're like, not on your life, lady. We're taking your passport too. Oh, that's the upside to it, right? So how do we fix this? Well, like I said, I believe that a combination of stress, removing stress as much as possible, right? So if you know anybody who is infertile, you probably need to look at nutrition. Nutrition is a big thing, right? Nutrition. What are you eating? We're eating way too much processed food. Have you been grocery shopping? Do you do that? When you go grocery shopping, do you look in the next cart, the person's cart? Are you ever like, so I get judged all the time. People look in my grocery cart and look at me, and then I turn away. because they don't like, the cashiers don't like me at my grocery store, because it's always stuff they have to look up, because it's always vegetables. You know, it's always stuff they have to go look up. And then they look at me like, you're throwing me down. So we need to drink less, right? Spend more time sleeping, maybe. Have less activities. Less drugs. People are taking drugs. Don't let them fool you. Marijuana is the least of it. People are taking drugs like crazy. Get off the drugs and drink less. No, you don't need wine to help you sleep, and you don't need a shot of Uncle Nearest or a shot of Uncle Jack to make you sleep. No, you definitely don't need Courvoisier or Hennessy. They are not your companions, right? So stop the drugs, right? Both substances. And why are so many of us on antidepressants? And you think that does not, the chemicals, those are chemicals, people. They're synthetic materials that we're taking into our bodies. We got to find better ways to treat what bother us. All the issues of life, the trauma from childhood, and the stuff we have to go through. We can't continue to take these synthetic chemicals into our bodies and think they're not leaving a mark on us. Hello. And it's manifesting in some of these things. No tax money given to Planned Parenthood. And if a girl under 18 gets pregnant, her dad pays all the bills, not anybody else. You come to France with me. That's a deal, right? You see what I'm saying? We got to. Guys, stop taking drugs. Just look at, you don't believe me that we're taking too many drugs? Go in your medicine cabinet. What's on your night table? You take a pill for headache. You take another one for this. I kid you not, just do a study. If you can line it all up and don't post the pictures. Don't do that, because people will target you. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Don't post the pictures of your pills that you're taking. Don't. They're watching. They're watching. Okay? You know who I'm talking about. Right? But what I'm saying is just take a picture for yourself. And you're like, really? So I take a pill for headache, and then they gave me one because I went to the doctor and I couldn't sleep, or I had an upset stomach, or you felt like you had a pain from college because you were an athlete in college and you don't work out so much anymore, or you haven't been working out, or you went to the gym and you sprained your ankle and they gave you a pill, and you start reading have you ever read the side effects? You'd be shocked. You would be shocked. So take a picture for yourself of the pills that you're taking. Take up and look at it. And you're going to say to yourself, and if you read it, and just read, when you get the pill from the pharmacy, have you guys ever read the ingredients? We can't pronounce the words. They're made up of a series of letters. I think they're just characters or something. If you can't pronounce it and it's not pronounceable, it probably isn't. It probably isn't good. It's like recently they found glycosulfate. Glycosulfate is the chemical in Roundup. They found glycosulfate in children's cereals, like Honey Bunches of Oats and so on. I gave my kids Honey Bunches of Oats, Lucky Charms, and all that kind of stuff. Do you see where I'm coming from? And you wonder why we have fertility issues. It started from we were in the cradle. They started giving us chemicals. Do you see? So now you have to reverse it. So all these places advertising how much you can have a fresh meal every day and it comes delivered to you in a box. Like I said, if it's not coming from your grocery store where the girl at the checkout just packed that stuff up and you did it before you left work, and on your way home you just go through the pickup area in the store and they deliver it to your car. Oh, don't bother. Just go to your local grocery store, go online, pay for it through the app, and go pick it up on your way home. Quicker, easier, whatever. Because it's all plumped up with chemicals that is affecting our bodies. Those chemicals are affecting our bodies, which is impacting our lifestyle and the way we live. It's hurting us, and it's hurting our ability to procreate. And so two people get together, and with all these environmental issues going on, they can't have children, and they start blaming one another, and they get angry with one another. Then they start becoming unattracted to each other because they think something is wrong with you, when it's all societal and environmental in the first place. And then you start looking at it and you're saying, maybe my best chance to have children was when I was in college, but then what would I have done? I should have had them when I was 21 and 22. I remember my mother telling me that back then. My mother told me I was like, excuse me, I want to live my life. At 23, I was living my life like it's golden. I was thinking of children. But when I turned 25, she was like, no, it's the time. Because she says your window gets smaller. Nowadays, we don't have to worry about that. But the downside is what? It takes longer. You go through infertility spells. And they might tell a guy that he's sterile. And by the way, just so you know, if you are in your 30s and you're sterile as a man, there's hope because your body changes. You know that, right? So if you change your physiology, change your diet, especially your diet, changing your diet and your lifestyle, that is going to improve your ability to become, your body has a way, it's like a clock, it switches, right? So don't be afraid of that. Let me see what my girl Raven is saying here. Sometimes I feel like someone is watching me. Can I adopt you? Oh, baby, we have to check with my two daughters. Let them sign off on that, right? Let's check with them. But do you see what I'm saying? Do you see? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or make you feel that way. People are saying you can't have a lot of viewers or talk at your audience instead of to them. She doesn't care, but this is interesting. It's not a bad thing. Then depression kicks in. They say it was vitamin zinc. I snacked on birth control on the weekends because I had no food, so I had to wait until school. Wow. I was abandoned at age 3 and raised by wild wolves. That's not true. Stop. My cousin Hugh Jassel said the good pyramid was completely different. Food pyramid was different in the 80s. Yes, that's true. That's great. You snacked on birth control. Birth control can't even feed you. I mean, to them. I hear you. It's not a bad thing. And you're laughing with me. Can't please all of the people all of the time, right? I talk to you, then I'm talking at you, then I'm talking to you and to you. I'm on multiple platforms. But thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. And I will keep that in mind, right? So I'm sorry, but that's what I have to say about infertility. We need to change it up with nutrition. And nobody was adopted and raised by wild wolves. Is that a story? Is that a screenplay? You want to submit your screenplay to someone, right? Let me see what you have to say. What's the other platform? Go to Facebook and YouTube, right? You're on those platforms too, I take it. Okay, lovely. Right? So that's what I got to say about infertility. And listen, I've been intimate with people who have had fertility issues. I know of folks who have come and have told me about their infertility issues. And I feel that on a whole other level. It's something that is deeply personal and unsettling. It's not a good place to be when you're trying to have a child and for the love of God, you can't figure out why it's not happening to you. Some people have said, I've tried everything. Then I'm like, maybe your chemistry with that person is not where it should be. It does take it's a scientific thing. And I know that you look at some other people and say, well, they just lay down and they get pregnant. Well, all they do is have sex. Some people, that's all they have time to do is have sex all the time. You're busy working and making stuff happen. You don't have time to have sex all the time. Some people, that's all they do all day. They have sex continually. Studies show that the more you have sex with the same person, the more susceptible you are to their sperm. Your body becomes more susceptible to their sperm. Do you see what I mean? So it depends on your physiology. And your body has its own way of thinking. Sometimes we have to rewire to get our bodies to cooperate the way we want it to work, right? Right? So what you gonna say? You over there who is always talking to me. Let me see what you have to say to that. Uh NCO Huma. What do you have to say? And at Dallas Blade. Depression. I'm going to tell you this last story and then I'm done. I know a young couple right now who I think are on the brink. I think their marriage is going to, because they've been trying so hard to have children. And I think they're on the brink of losing it, of shaking one another. He has become so apathetic. He's like, it doesn't matter to me anymore. But she wants a child so very badly. And I was listening to them talk until I'm listening to them. And then I heard a conversation where he was complaining that she was up drinking one night with her friends. So I said, whoa, stop right there. I said, you're doing fertility treatments and you're drinking. Oh, well, it's nothing. I was just having a couple glasses of wine. There's nothing wrong with that. I said, okay. That's what you want. That's what you want. Right? It had never occurred to her that there were some things to do. Here's a nutritionist will tell you, if you want to focus on having children, give yourself for 6 months, don't drink, don't take drugs, stay away from processed foods, no fast foods, get some rest and see what happened in 6 months. Right? We'll tell you that. Just stay away from the drugs. Stay away from the drugs, the drinking, the processed foods, the fast foods, and get some rest for 6 months. And you're still having sex, but do that for 6 months and you'll be amazed. Might come out with twins. Right? And if you don't listen to some people don't tell the story. I mean, I read a story about Beyonce when she said before she had Blue Ivy, she got pregnant several times, but she was always on the road touring. And touring. And so the rigor and the stress of it, she had many miscarriages. And most miscarriages happen in the first 3 months of the pregnancy. So if you don't tell anybody you're pregnant, how are they going to know you have a miscarriage? And a miscarriage is very unsettling, right? But Beyonce said it was unsettling for her. She had to make up in her mind. She wanted to have a child, so she had to stop touring. The lifestyles that we live today are so rigorous. 100 years ago, women basically stayed at home for months. Well, so it was easy. Now we're busy. We're touring. We're doing this. We're up and down. Right? So those things we take under consideration. Let me see if anybody else has anything to say. Oh, you stopped talking to me. Oh, right? Let's see. Right, Raven, do you have anything else to say? Twins. I kid you not, yes. And you can talk about, in some cultures, they have different positions to have sex in. I kid you not, young people just go to bed and have sex and they get pregnant the first time at 15. Think about that. I don't know that they were doing all these calisthenics of exercises and so on, right? So I don't know that the position is what it is. It's the body, the chemistry in the body. And the chemistry in our bodies today is not how it used to be. The chemistry in our bodies today is impacted by your environment, the toxins in our environment, plus what we take into it. So if you're trying to have a baby, I promise you, 6 months, go without food, without drinking, alcohol, recreational alcohol, whatever, beer, whatever you do. Go without drugs, no antidepressants, no this, no that, no opiates, no opioids, no nothing. No substance, no hard substances, right? No smoking, no nothing. And eat right, no fast food, no processed food, and see what happens. I guarantee you that's a way to win, right? Right? All right, go to my website, harrietkemmick.com, as well as go to the exodusfoundation.com. Help us as we help others to help victims of sex trafficking. That's what we do. I'm a writer. Go buy my books. They're available on Amazon.com. Download them, right? Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for all your comments. I take them under advisement. I appreciate your feedback. It means that I mean something to you. So keep it coming. I do listen. Thank you so much. I still love you, though. Hey, I still love you. And you still love me. So smile. Hey, smile with me. Bear with me, right? Thanks so much. Hey, Raven Bishop, make sure you join me tomorrow. I love your comments, right? And I'm going to ask my daughter if I can adopt you. I have to ask those too, right? All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Be blessed. I got to go. See you later. Bye, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, everybody. Be blessed. Oh, hold on. People are over here talking like crazy. Cost of rate going up and younger couples are already struggling. My God. Oh, wow. Unbelievable. You folks are really, really joining in. Thanks so much. Wow. Isn't that something? Well. Wow. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Gosh.